Hey everybody, it's Michael from Replica Airguns doing another tabletop review on another 1911 pistol. And yes, this is essentially a KWC pistol, but it's distributed by Umarex and has the Umarex Colt licensing on it because this is the Combat Vet Limited Edition 1911. I was kind of on the fence whether or not I'd do a full tabletop review since I have reviewed a ton of these KWC 1911s, but this is just such a gorgeous pistol. You know, yes, it's essentially very similar to the very first 1911 or KWC 1911 I reviewed, which was the Cybergun Tanfoglio Witness 1911, but it does look pretty, doesn't it? With all of this aging or weathering, you know, with all the Colt licensing on it, it is a really nice pistol. And so not everybody has seen these guns. You know, some of you are new to the Replica Airgun whole thing, right? Maybe new to my channel, so you haven't seen these as much, so this might be your first video on it, right? So let's go over it. Let's talk about this pistol a little bit. All right, this is available in our Replica Airgun store right now, at least at the time I'm making this video, and it is for a very reasonable price. I was actually a little shocked at the low price that we're selling it for. And keep in mind, this is limited edition, so there's only a select amount of them made and available in this version or this exact model. Again, this is made by KWC and it is based on the KWC 1911 Blowback series, so a lot of the parts should intermix, magazines, slides, everything. If you do have one, you can kind of mix and match some of these parts if you wanted to. And again, I have lots of these KWC 1911 videos, some of them from Cybergun, some of them from Umarex, but essentially they're all KWC guns, so check those out over on my Replica Airguns YouTube channel. All right, let's get into some of the specifications. This is a blowback all-metal design gun. It is the 1911 Colt Combat Vet Limited Edition version. It also uses 12 gram CO2 cartridges, shoots 4.5mm steel BBs, has a 19-round full-size dropout all-metal magazine that holds the CO2 and the BBs, weighs in at about 2 pounds. It shoots in single action only and shoots around 325 FPS. Again, this gun is made by KWC in Taiwan, but distributed and Colt licensed through Umarex. Now, as with all the other KWC 1911s, this gun is a very accurate Colt 1911 replica. It does come in this nicely illustrated box, so they've done a great job. Umarex has done a great job. See if you can actually see this. It's a little bit tough of bringing us a box with a little character to it, right? But again, you can see here the most important part, Colt Limited Edition 1911. Inside the box you get your manual, no surprise there, right? And all the stuff that manuals generally have in them, how to load CO2 and BBs and things like that, how to aim, a little bit of aiming instruction. It's kind of nice. Okay, you go through that on your own time, and you get the Allen key. This is to tighten the CO2 in the magazine. All right, I'm going to compare it really quickly to our Tanfoglio Witness 1911. And other than the weathering, these guns are literally identical. Okay, everything is pretty much the same. I mean, the weathering does bring out the edges nicely, but these guns are the same. Okay, even the grips are the same. Everything is the same. All right. They're really no different. So, you know, if you already have a Tanfoglio Witness 1911 or a similar 1911 A1 style pistol from KWC, then you could probably weather it yourself. I have done a weathering video for, I believe it was a Luger, was the Umarex Luger, so you can check that out. If I can remember to put the link in, I'll do that. But there are ways to weather these guns, and the finish does come off fairly easily on these guns. Let's see if I can show you. See how it's already coming off on those edges there, the high points? So you can use like a magic eraser, one of those magic erasers, right? And you can actually just sort of hit the edges and kind of weather it yourself. It does take a little bit of time. You got to go at it slow, but it does do a good job. So you could make yours look like this, right? All right, so let's put that back. Again, all the parts are the same, so you could literally mix and match these guns. Let's take a look at it. I'll try and pretend that some of you have never seen this gun before. Here's your magazine. Even the magazine is weathered, right? Nice touch. They could have just chucked the magazine in there, but they didn't. They weathered the magazine up for you guys. So here's how you load the BBs, and you can load them from the bottom, right? Or you could load them from the top. It's totally up to you. And there's your CO2 valve there. And there's your CO2 screw, right? The CO2 just drops in there. Kind of sticks out a little bit on the edges, and that's why this is rounded here, okay? But that's essentially what it is. People ask all the time if you can use real 1911 grips, and you can. but you have to, basically there's a little bit of dremeling you have to do in a couple spots, but you'll see when you take these off where that dremeling is. It's not much, it's just a little bit on the back sides of them, not the fronts, and that's all you really need to do to put real 1911 grips on here. But let's take a look at some of this licensing. All right, really nice. And again, blowback action, right? So beautiful single action trigger. Watch this, very light, just a little take up and you're in. You're just like the real steel gun. Just beautifully light, probably 2 to 3 pounds. Again, there's your magazine ejector button right there. Right there is, and I didn't notice this when I did the preview video, but there is your warning instructions right there. You know, totally out of the way, not obvious. I didn't even notice it initially. So instead of like a lot of these guns where the warning instructions really take up a lot of space on the gun, basically Umarex has decided to make it, you know, kind of out of the way and discreet, which is great because you don't want it, you know, this is such a beautiful gun with all the branding and licensing. You've got your Colt, you know, licensing, you've got all this stuff, limited states property, right? You've got all this stuff, and to have this horrible warning instruction there would just not be good on this gun at all. It would just totally take away from it. So this is a working backstrap safety, right? Let me just get this done here. Can't do it from the side. So notice I can't push the trigger until I push the back strap safety, right? Grip safety, back strap, whatever you want to call it. And you know, nice grips. They are plastic, but this, I believe this gun would have had like a plastic type grip. Again, you can put wood grips on if you like, right? The sights are non-adjustable. You can totally see through the mag well, right? Top to bottom, right, wide open mag well, just like the real steel version. Beautiful. Nice gun. Now I have field stripped this gun in another video. Same gun. I believe I just field stripped this Tanfoglio Witness. So I'll put a link to field stripping, and I'm not going to do that today. I think I've spent enough time showing you around this gun. So if you want to see how it's field stripped, you can watch that video. Alright, let's go over some of the pros and the cons real quickly here. Again, it's going to be a lot the same as my other KWC 1911 videos, but it is an all-metal construction with good weight and a super solid feeling gun. Nice heavy blowback action. Very similar to a real 1911 in terms of it has that sort of sluggishness that a 1911 has. It's got a little delay in the blowback. It's not as snappy as some other guns would be, but I've noticed, because I do shoot 1911s and I have shot other guns that aren't 1911s, and typically a 1911, 45 especially, has a real heavy, slow slide blowback action, right? And this gun simulates that fairly well. Again, it's very accurate in 1911 in terms of looks and overall operation. It has that true 1911 single action trigger with excellent pull, very smooth and light, with a working grip safety. It's fully Colt licensed through Umarex, and I really like the vintage weathered look. There's no need to worry about those few extra scratches or paint wear that you quite often get with KWC guns. Now this is, again, the limited edition version, so not everyone will have one of these, so it's going to be a little bit more unique than the average KWC 1911 out there. And I like that the warning instructions are in a much less obvious location and the print is much smaller. Alright, a couple cons real quick and then we'll wrap up this video. You do sacrifice FPS and shots per CO2 because of the heavy blowback, but it is worth it with these true functioning full blowback pistols. You know, 300 plus FPS is perfectly fine for plinking, shooting stuff at 30 feet out, no problem. Still going to go right through a pop can. And you know what? 3 to 4 mags tops, that's fine. CO2 is pretty cheap. Again, it's a bit of a compromise to have that heavy blowback action, but again, I think it's worth it. Alright, that's pretty much it in terms of cons. There's not a lot. I really love this gun, as you can tell. So make sure to check it out in our Canada Replica Airgun store. Again, for a limited time, I believe it's under $150 Canadian right now, which is pretty cheap. Make sure to subscribe before you head out. Check us out on Facebook and Twitter. Username is Replica Airguns. Also come on down to replicaairguns.com where I'll have my written post for this review with additional photos and links to buy it if you want it. And of course we have our Canada and US online Replica Airgun stores where we sell air guns, BB guns, airsoft guns, pellet guns, blank guns, knives, and other accessories. Thanks for watching. Until next time, take care.